What up? Welcome into the Save Saturdays podcast. I'm Ethan Peter. Joining me today is Will Reason and Big Bets Bentz. We'll be getting to him later in the show. It's a pretty nice Thursday for this time of year. It's been warm. It's been warm all week.
Yeah. But it's not like too warm.
No.
Like I've been wearing jeans outside and I've been comfortable.
Yeah. I like wearing jeans.
I like it. Where it's at right now, I like that.
Yeah.
Perfect weather.
I agree.
Trees are starting to turn a little orange. Just starting to.
It's football weather.
We got football.
It's football
on
weather.
The tube. It's good. It's a good time to be alive.
I walk outside, take a nice breathe in, and it's just like this. If there was a candle, I would call what I smell outside football season.
Right next to the burnt tire rubber and.
Oh, we'll get to the burnt tire rubber and oil from Bristol when we talk to Big Bets Bentz in a little bit. What I want to know right now is the question of the week this week. Very, very important to a lot of sports fans. This question gets asked all the time, but we haven't addressed it on the show yet. What's one sporting event? Doesn't have to be a game. It can be the draft. It can be the NBA draft. It can be the ESPYs. But what is one sporting event that before you die, you have to go to? You're going to do whatever you can to go there.
I just want to say first, out of the three you just mentioned, I never want to go in any of them at all. Even if
I would go to the draft. I love the draft.
The first 5-10 picks would be pretty fun, and then I'd be like, okay, I'm ready to leave. Just I feel like you're sitting there waiting for half the time. That's what it feels like at home. Like half the time you're just waiting.
I love the draft
for a 3-second pick. I mean, I like the idea of the draft. I love scouting, but like being there at the draft. I mean, I wouldn't want to sit there and wait the whole time. After 10 picks, I mean, I'm just like.
I think it's incredible that you like scouting because you thought Jalen Hurts was a round one quarterback. So clearly you're not good at scouting.
I would say I'm good at scouting because Jalen Hurts clearly is a first-round quarterback. He just didn't get drafted because the guys that are paid to do it in NFL front offices are not good at it.
Not good at scouting.
So, not good at scouting. I mean, when you take Jordan Love over Jalen Hurts, clearly there's a problem with your front office.
Jordan Love was the best quarterback in the draft.
So the Green Bay Packers will figure it out in a few years when Jordan Love is
the best quarterback
sucking,
in the draft.
And Jalen Hurts is on his road to 3 Super Bowl rings. So
okay, well, that wasn't the answer to my question.
The answer to your question, Ethan, the sporting event I would go to before I would die would be World Series Game 7, Fenway Park, Boston Red Sox, October. Electric vibes.
You know, I feel like I could have guessed that.
Because maybe you already knew that. I feel like we've talked about this before.
I did already know that. I did already know that. But I feel like I would have guessed it if I'd asked you that question yesterday. Because you coached a baseball team this summer. Your favorite video game is MLB The Show. You're clearly a baseball guy.
Well, I am
definitely a Red Sox guy. And there's nothing better than watching your favorite team play in the most important game of the season.
Exactly.
And for a lot of for a lot of the same reasons, I'm picking for my game Los Angeles Kings Game 7 Stanley Cup Finals, preferably a win. Obviously,
I think we're assuming that we're watching a win.
And so I think that we're on the same wavelength there. And notably, playoff baseball significantly different than regular season baseball.
Very different. Especially I think Fenway is a big difference than anyone else. I think because Boston's a championship town. People are crazy about their sports in Boston, so I think it's just a wild environment. And Fenway is super tight and packed. And we went to a Fenway game a couple years ago, and they're not crapping you. Like, there's no cap. It's a really small stadium. You're packed in there like sardines.
I've been.
You've been to Fenway?
Yeah.
It's a great vibe if you got a good game going, especially in the playoffs. October, it's kind of cold. Everyone's wearing their thick coats, that cold Boston weather, and just everyone's freaking out. Big Papi hitting shots over the monster or to right field.
If I can critique Fenway real quick, they have to take care of those giant pillars that are in the way of some seats. But
that's in every old ballpark.
It's not even Fenway.
I can go pick some out of Wrigley that do the same thing.
It's not even Fenway. That's like that. I think it's just playoff baseball that has that effect. Fenway, it's probably amplified to a degree.
Playoff baseball is so much better than regular season baseball.
If you look a couple years ago when my Toronto Blue Jays, my second favorite team, Toronto Blue Jays, it's not even the World Series. They're playing the Texas Rangers. The crowd was going crazy.
Well, the Jose Bautista hit was just lit.
Well, and I don't even think Toronto is necessarily a baseball city, and that they were going crazy for that.
Exactly. Like playoff baseball is just so much better. It just is. It just got good electric vibes.
So you?
But in Fenway, like I said, it's tight, compact. So like all the screaming is just like ricocheting off each other, and you're just like, I don't know. I think it's just awesome.
So
I would love to go there.
Game 7, World Series,
Honestly, though,
Boston.
if I could change the second choice would be ALCS Game 7, Yankees Red Sox in Fenway, just because I hate the Yankees, and I would love to see the Red Sox walk it off.
Well, that's just wishful thinking. How often would that playoff series matchup happen?
It's happened a lot of times.
In the ALCS?
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like that'd be a
I'm
difficult.
drawing a blank now that you have me confused.
I feel like that would be a difficult matchup considering if they both make the playoffs, one of them is going to be a low seed, one of them is going to be a higher seed. So the bracket would have to work out just perfect for that to happen.
Which it has happened before. Unless I'm thinking incorrectly, 2004 it happened. That was the infamous comeback down 3-0 to win the World Series. Not to win the World Series, but eventually won the World Series.
Well, regardless, Game 7 World Series,
I just
Boston.
want to beat the Yankees. That's all. I don't even care what game it is. I just want to beat the Yankees. Screw the Yankees. Go Red Sox. What were you saying?
Your choice, Game 7 World Series, Boston wins.
Yes.
My choice, Stanley Cup Finals, Game 7, Los Angeles Kings win. Preferably in LA. I'm not tied to the Staples Center. I'll watch it at a away state. It's just like the physical, like the event, not the location.
But you don't want to be like chumming it up with some LA Kings fans.
I mean, there'd be fans.
You want to be in a hostile environment.
I'll take it no matter what because we're winning the Stanley Cup either way.
That's true.
And if I can get some sneers out there, that'd be great. Regardless, we're pretty in tune. Let's see what Big Bets Bentz has to say. What his answer to the question of the week is. Ryan, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Ethan.
So you've been listening. Question of the week: What's the sporting event you want to go to before you die? And I will say that we're asking this question probably because of a conversation we had before the show. You mentioned Bristol. You were there this weekend. It was one of the things you wanted to do.
That's right.
One of the sporting events. So now that that's checked off, what are you picking?
All right. Well, after Bristol, I'll have to say FIFA World Cup.
Really?
Germany and France.
Interesting.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
So are you more a fan of Germany or France?
Oh, Germany.
Why Germany and France specifically?
Both my nationalities.
Oh.
Yeah.
Didn't know that. We're learning things every day. Didn't know Ryan was
I knew that.
Oh.
But that's because Ryan's my friend. I value my coworkers, unlike you do.
Your first questions and your icebreakers or what nationalities are you?
Yeah, I didn't even ask him his name. I'm like, so
hi.
let me guess, German, French. No,
That's right.
No,
A little bit Irish, but
I mean, you're a golf guy. You're a NASCAR guy, not a soccer guy. Why the World Cup?
well, I mean, soccer's kind of been low key an attraction for me. I've always kind of found it entertaining, but just kind of on the sidelines. I like watching the Spanish La Liga league with Real Madrid and Gareth Bale, Benzema. I like to watch those guys.
I'm lost right now.
Gareth Bale plays for Wales.
Yes. That's
Very very cool story from the Euro 2016. They almost made it to the World Cup off that. They lost in the round of 16 or the round of 8.
16, I believe.
Yeah, I was pulling for them.
It's heartbreaking.
And them and Iceland kind of had like the exact same story going on.
Right.
Tiny little countries, not a lot of people to pull from, and just made crazy runs.
That's right.
Do you ever bet on soccer at all?
I have in the past.
How's that go for you?
Not pretty well. Yeah, not bad.
Really?
Not as bad as you'd think. But since COVID hit, kind of calmed down on that a little bit.
Makes sense. Shifting over to our first topic, neither of us said an NFL game, but we're all pretty big NFL fans. We'll keep Ryan on for this segment. We made some predictions. We made some bold claims 2 episodes ago. Will, you were bullish on the Cowboys. Myself, I was pretty big on the Packers. Feeling pretty good about that prediction right now. But what are some predictions after week 2 that we're not really feeling a little sick in our stomach about, I mean, definitely the 49ers for me, I had them winning their division. Don't feel good about that after those cluster injuries on the defensive line. Jimmy Garoppolo going down, Raheem Mostert getting banged up. Ryan's guy, Raheem Mostert.
That's right, my guy.
How are you feeling about that? Run us through your picks and just tell us low, medium, high confidence on those.
Well, I mean, I had the Ravens, Chiefs, Bills, Patriots, Steelers, Titans, Colts. And of all those teams, the front end, I like all my picks. Ravens are dominant. All Patriots, I had them middle of the pack. They're 1-1, but they lost to the Seahawks in Seattle. I'm still bullish on the Patriots. I think even in the loss, they looked really good. I thought the play calling was excellent up until that last play. So the only pick I'm worried about is the Colts. They're 1-1, but they lost to a bad Jacksonville team whose only good player was Gardner Minshew. And I don't think Phillip Rivers is going to do it. I think the Titans are going to win that division, and that's going to be it. And then I think the Raiders, who I didn't have making the playoffs, are going to replace the Colts, probably as the wild card, as the third.
So who are your 7 teams from the AFC now?
So now I'd replace the Colts and the Raiders.
So give me the 7.
Ravens, Chiefs, Bills, Patriots, Steelers. Which Steelers much better than I thought they'd be. I figured they'd be good, but they haven't impressed me so far.
We'll talk about that later in the show.
Then I'd go Titans, and then I'd go Raiders. Although the Chargers, Justin Herbert looked excellent against the Chiefs. We'll see if he can keep doing that, but I mean, I would watch out for the Chargers. And you had the Chargers. You were very high on the Chargers.
I am very high on the Chargers.
I was very low on the Chargers. So I will say I was impressed with the Chargers, but for right now, I'm giving it to the Raiders just because they have the experienced quarterback. They have a more experienced coach, obviously, in John Gruden. So right now, I'm giving it to the Raiders over the Chargers.
I'll run through my AFC. We'll get to Ryan, talk about some of the predictions he is not liking that he made. But for me, I had the Bills, feeling really good about that after last week. Talk about a excellent game from Josh Allen to Stephon Diggs. Ravens, I think that was an easy choice, easy call.
Yeah.
They're
they're
looking
the best team in the league right now.
Yep, I agree.
NFC, AFC, all of it.
I agree. Titans, also another team that's looked really good through.
Ryan Tannehill looked excellent.
That
was the best game of his career, probably.
I was tough on him when I made my prediction for the Titans. I said that Derrick Henry is going to be the guy, and Ryan Tannehill is kind of a chump. I was a little tough on him, he's proven me wrong.
I was a Ryan Tannehill guy when he was in Miami. No one was with me on that pick, so I love to see him being successful now. It makes my heart warm.
And then I also had the Chiefs, also feeling really good about that pick. That was an easy pick.
Well, yeah, it's like the Ravens.
It's kind of the corporate pick. Like they're just coming in, winning games, no big deal.
Although they did not look great against the Chargers. That game was way too close.
But that makes sense to me because my very next team, my top wild card team was the Chargers. I feel excellent about that. Roll back the tape. I said Chargers. It's going to be Justin Herbert. He's going to look good. He's going to supplant Tyrod Taylor. Unfortunately, it was because a Chargers team doctor punctured Tyrod Taylor's lungs that my prediction came true. Yeah. But I think if they're definitely going to be rolling with Herbert this next week, and if he plays anything like he did against the Chiefs this weekend, I'm liking my Chargers pick a lot more than I did after week 1. Next team, Broncos. Unfortunately, Drew Lock going down with an injury. Jeff Driscoll and Blake Bortles are their other 2 quarterbacks now. I would say that is a seriously low confidence pick now.
Yeah.
Hard to predict injuries like that. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs now if Drew Lock's out for more than 3 weeks. I'm concerned about how his development might be affected. I thought he was going to have a nice breakout year. Could push that back. And then my last pick, the Colts. You're not feeling too high on that pick right now. I feel pretty good about that pick. Still high on Jonathan Taylor. He played really well week 2. He was a little suspect week 1, but he got his feet wet. Came back week 2. Showed everyone why he was a second-round pick.
Well, Mac also got hurt in week 2, so I mean, he got way more touches, I think.
Mac got hurt in week 1.
He got hurt in week 1.
Yeah.
So I think he got way more touches than what he was supposed to. So I mean, yeah, it's looking good.
Probably
for Jonathan Taylor right now. Your offensive rookie of the year is looking good right now.
He probably spent most of camp as like the number 2 running back, and now he's getting the touches with the ones in practice, and he's being treated as a starting running back in practice. So it's probably helping his production a lot. So I'm feeling really good about my Colts pick. Ryan, what are some predictions you're feeling good about? Something you're feeling really bad about?
So, obviously, I like Baltimore Ravens, Kansas City Chiefs, Tennessee Titans, Derrick Henry, unstoppable. Some teams I didn't have, Pittsburgh Steelers, and also Las Vegas Raiders as well. Those two teams are looking pretty solid, pretty strong start of the season. And Patriots, I got them in there. And then Jacksonville Jaguars.
Really?
Yeah.
You got the Minshew Mania fan over
That's
here.
right. Oh, big time. Fantasy quarterback.
He's going all. Yeah, I was gonna say you're
Big
going all
numbers.
in on Minshew. You got him starting in fantasy this week.
That's right. Yeah, Thursday night.
We'll see how that goes tonight.
That's right.
Obviously, we're recording on a Thursday as we always do. I think by the time we are eating our ritual canes after recording, we will already know that Ryan's an idiot and that Gardner Minshew is not a viable fantasy quarterback.
Gardner Minshew's legit.
He's legit.
I don't want to hear it.
I mean, I don't want to be that guy, but Ryan, just stick to gambling, man. I'm just telling you to shut up and dribble right now. Stick to gambling.
Hey, Gardner Minshew, what did he put up? 30-plus points fantasy 2 weeks in a row?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's legit. As of right now,
And against a Miami Dolphins defense?
Who has he played? Who's Gardner Minshew played?
Indianapolis Colts.
That's right.
Week 1, very good defense, led by Phillip Rivers.
Their
Benson.
defense, the Colts defense, led by Phillip Rivers.
The Colts defense, very good. Colts led by Phillip Rivers. So, he's been impressive. As of right now, I don't see the Jaguars going and getting a quarterback in the next draft. I don't think they should.
I
think they have their
definitely
guy.
think they're going to go draft somebody.
Well, you mean whether they do or not? I don't know. I don't think they should. If
I don't
I'm
even
the
think
GM of the Jags right now, I'm locking in on Minshew.
I don't even think Minshew's going to end the season on the Jaguars. I think he's going to get traded at the deadline.
Well, they're going to get a lot of good stuff for him, I hope.
Maybe at most a second-round pick. And that's exceptional return because they drafted him in the 6th round.
Exactly. I'm a big Minshew fan, so I hope they stick with him. I'd like to see him in Jacksonville for his career.
I think it's a little bit like Jordy Nelson early in his career. I think a lot of defensive backs didn't expect a lot out of Jordy because we had Donald Driver. The Packers had Donald Driver, Greg Jennings, and then there's this white guy from Kansas.
Right.
He's nothing special. Burst on the scene, great connection with Aaron Rodgers. I feel like that's kind of Gardner Minshew right now. Everyone's like, oh, 6th-round pick from Washington State. He's system guy at Washington State. That's why he put up big numbers. So I think I think they're kind of disrespecting him, and that's why he's doing so well. And once defenses start respecting him, I think those numbers are going to dip significantly, and he's going to return to. He's going to kind of show that while he is a viable quarterback, he's an NFL quarterback. He's not a top 15 NFL quarterback.
I think that argument would have been good for last year, just because I think last year he proved himself as a legit quarterback, and this year is the year that defenses would have shown him hey, this guy actually balled out last year.
He looked good good at the very beginning of last year, and he looked all right at the end of last year. The middle, he did not. He was not a good quarterback.
He can't put crazy numbers up every week. And he's a rookie last year.
Well,
so
that's what you want out of your quarterback.
He's a rookie. I didn't expect a rookie quarterback to put up 350 yards every week. No one does. Not even Patrick Mahomes was even put to that standard. So I'm saying,
have you seen Aaron Rodgers through these first 2 weeks?
Was Aaron Rodgers a rookie in these first 2 weeks?
That's right.
He was not. So, I mean, if you're comparing Gardner Minshew to 14-year vet Aaron Rodgers or how many years he's been in the league, I think you have bigger problems. So, I mean, I think teams had all offseason to prepare for Gardner, and they still know how to stop him. So, I mean, as of right now, bullish on him.
I would not be confident with that prediction.
So, NFC, who do you got in the NFC?
NFC, my number 1 seed was the 49ers. Don't even think they're going to make the playoffs now. Jimmy Garoppolo, questionable. Raheem Mostert, questionable. Nick Bosa, out for season. Defensive lineman, forgetting his name right now. Armstead, yes. Goes down with injury. The defensive line was probably the best place for them to get injuries because they were so deep. But their corners are suspect. Richard Sherman definitely on the downward slope of his career. No, they don't really have a second star in that secondary. Their linebackers pretty much just Fred Warner and everybody else. That defense, it is highly questionable right now. Not feeling confident about that pick. I think that they have enough talent and a good enough coach that they could maybe sneak a wild card. but I wouldn't bet on them. I would not confidently bet on them if I was Big Bets Bentz to make the playoffs.
That's right.
Second seed, Packers, high confidence right there. I had them going to the Super Bowl. I'm feeling really good about that pick. Aaron Rodgers playing like a man possessed. He's looking like MVP Aaron Rodgers. He's looking like Super Bowl winning quarterback Aaron Rodgers.
Let's not go that far.
I love what I see every time I turn on the TV and watch that team. Doesn't even need Devontae Adams. He goes down halfway through last game. Still puts up big yards with Marquez Valdez-Scantling and Alan Lazard. Aaron Jones also looking exceptional. Defense haven't really been tried. We've been in a couple of games where we've won the game by halfway through the third quarter, so taking the foot off the pedal a little bit. So once we start playing some better teams, I'll be interested to see how the defense holds up. But I'm feeling pretty good about that pick right now. Dallas, I had them winning their division. Feel pretty good about that right now. Eagles look like they're pretty bad. Giants are horrible. They just lost Saquon Barkley. Daniel Jones has not looked super good since about the second quarter of the first game. And Washington football team, they've looked all right, but I just don't think that they have the talent to beat Dallas this year.
I think they're on the upward trend, though.
They're definitely going upwards.
I think they're surprising people.
Washington might steal a game from Dallas with just the pure talent on that defensive line. I think with a rebuilding offensive line in Dallas a little bit, you're going to struggle with a really strong defensive line in Washington, but I still like Dallas to win more games over the course of the season and make the playoffs. 4 seed Buccaneers. That division looks like it's pretty awful again. Saints don't look very good. Falcons, surprisingly better than I expected, but still I don't have confidence in them to win the division, especially after the choke job against Dallas. Also, out of the NFC West, I had Seattle. They're probably going to win that division now. They're looking really good. I had Russell Wilson winning MVP. Feel great about that prediction as well. Other team, Arizona, also looked really good. High confidence in that pick. Beat the 49ers week 1. So, yeah, I'm feeling pretty good about that one. And unfortunately, I put the Vikings in the playoffs, and they look like they're going to get the number 1 seed or number one draft pick. So,
with Jacksonville winning, I mean, it's not
really.
You're not wrong.
Not really confident in my Vikings playoff prediction, but we'll see how the season progresses. It's only week 2. A lot of things can change, but that's how I'm feeling about my predictions. How about you?
All right. I had the Cowboys winning the Super Bowl. I had Dak winning the MVP. Very bullish on the Cowboys. They're 1-1. They lost to a very good, surprisingly good Rams team. So I'm feeling good about the Cowboys making the playoffs. Winning the Super Bowl might be a stretch. Dak winning MVP, I think it's going to come down in the NFC. It's going to come down to him and Russell Wilson. I think Dak, there's some other candidates too, but I think Dak is still an exceptional quarterback. Cowboys are going to need to win more games in order for him to do that. But I'm still liking Dak right now. My offensive player of the year, by the way, I had Kyler Murray. Loving that pick right now. Nick Bosa, defensive player of the year. Not loving that pick right now. Chase Young, defense rookie of the year. Loving that. I had the 49ers as well. I had them as my 2 seed. Not loving that pick. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs, especially when they're in a division with the Seahawks, Cardinals, and the Rams, who the Rams are surprisingly good. Blew my mind away. I just think there's no possible way for them to make it. Packers, great pick. They look solid. I think they probably have, outside of the Ravens, I think the Packers right now have the best offense in the league. I think the Chiefs just haven't been at the level of the Packers. Packers just dominated every game offensively they've been in. Chiefs have had a little trouble in both games getting it started. From the very start of every game, the Packers have just run away with it, and same with the Ravens. So I think they're up there offensively. I had the Seahawks, Russell Wilson. I think he's probably going to win MVP. He's up there. He's definitely showing a good case for his MVP this year. Seahawks just look excellent. Bucks, Saints coming in, and then Cardinals. Cardinals, I think I had them. I was very high on the Cardinals. You were very high on the Cardinals, I think, a couple episodes ago. I'm loving how they're looking right now. I think they are going to make the playoffs. And probably, if you got 3 guys out of that division, 3 teams, including the Rams, Seahawks, Bucks, and Saints, I said earlier, a couple episodes ago, Bucks win. I said Bucks win the division. Saints win the wild card. Get the wild card spot. With those three teams balling out like they are, I think whoever wins the Bucks Saints division, that's it. I don't think the other team. I think if the Bucks win the division, Saints aren't getting in, and then vice versa. So
I definitely
they're
do
gonna have to win
not.
that
I
division.
do not think. I agree with you. The NFC South does not look good enough to put two teams in right
No.
now.
They're gonna have to win the division.
Bucks looked pretty bad week 1 against the Saints. The Saints looked really bad week 2 against the Raiders. So I agree with you. NFC South suspect right now, and I didn't have them putting two teams in. I'm feeling pretty good about that right now. Falcons, they were surprising, like I mentioned, but again, collapse against Cowboys would shake my confidence in them. At halftime, I was like, dang, I should have put the Falcons in the playoffs. After the game, I was like, wow, Falcons, they are a horribly coached team.
Well, they do what they did in the Super Bowl. Like they just don't finish the job, and they may sneak into a playoff. I don't think they will, just because of how good the West is. And like we both said, the South, you're gonna have to win the division to get in. I don't think they have what it takes to win that division. So, yeah, they just don't have what it takes. They don't to get over that hump. So I agree with you there.
Big bets. What are you feeling?
Well, Green Bay Packers. I also like the Rams. Seattle Seahawks as well. One team that's kind of been surprising me was Chicago, the Bears.
They are 2-0.
You got to look
Yeah.
at who they played, though.
Yeah.
And the Lions game, they probably should have lost that game.
Definitely should
If
have lost that
DeAndre
game.
Swift catches that ball,
Yep.
it's a loss. But you can't take away from them. They're 2-0. Hey, 2-0 is 2-0.
Right.
Mitchell Trubisky's looked excellent so far. I shouldn't say excellent. He's looked better than what people thought he'd be.
Right.
So that's true.
Yep. Dallas Bucks, still got them in there. Saints might sneak in. I don't know.
I would not be confident in the Saints right now.
Yeah, it might sneak in, but low confidence pick there.
Rightly so.
Yeah.
Who'd you have for MVP?
Oh, MVP. Ooh, I think I had Dak Prescott
A mistake, because we all know it's going to be Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson.
right.
Emphasis on the Aaron
I
Rodgers.
forgot Aaron Rodgers. I didn't add him into the.
He's looked good. He's looked good.
So
Mm-hmm.
I'll add him in there just to make you happy.
And it doesn't look like the Vikings are going to be good enough to break his collarbone this year, so I like my confidence in him finishing the season.
There you go.
So, I mean, if you could replace one team that you had in the playoffs, who would you take out and who would you replace? I'd get rid of the Vikings and I'd put the Rams.
I'd do that. I'd get rid of the Saints, replace them with the Rams. I still thought the Bucks win that division, and then the AFC, I would take out the Colts and put in the Raiders.
Yeah, you only get one.
I gave you two. One per division.
Unacceptable.
One per
Ryan?
conference.
Oh, which conference doesn't matter?
Yeah, you get one pick. You can take one team out of the playoffs and add another team that you didn't have making the playoffs.
I think you got to go one per conference.
No.
Well, you know mine now, so.
So if I'd take one team out of the playoffs, it'd probably be. Oh, who would I have in? I'll do AFC. Take out Buffalo, put in Houston.
Whoa, Buffalo's
Really?
look good.
Yeah.
Buffalo,
Yeah.
Buffalo for Houston.
2-0 Buffalo Bills, coming off a whopper of a game
Yeah,
against the lowly Dolphins.
that's right.
And you're taking the team that looked like a dumpster fire in week 1 against
Hey,
the Chiefs.
season's just starting up.
Yeah.
They could flip a switch
He's
here.
got faith in
Deshaun Watson, that's right.
Deshaun Watson.
I mean, I just don't think the weapons
JJ Watt's just got to get his defense fired up.
are not there in Houston for a playoff appearance this year, in my opinion.
Here's a quick question for you.
I hope
'Cause
it's a quick
we
question.
were bringing up the Vikings. Do you think this is Kirk Cousins last year in Minnesota?
Yes.
You do?
Yeah.
He has not looked good. You look at how they're calling plays, and it's run, and then they beg that they're close enough that they can run a third time in a row on third down, and if not, they throw a pass. And it appears as though they are calling the game to minimize Kirk Cousins' impact on the game.
Yeah.
Like how can we make sure that Kirk does not throw the ball? That's their philosophy right now, and so I think they're showing that they have no confidence in Kirk Cousins.
I think right now the Vikings are in the same place as the Tennessee Titans were beginning of the season last year. They were trying, not at the beginning of the season, but when Ryan Tannehill first came in, I think that they have the same role. I think Ryan Tannehill is much better now. I was very bullish on Kirk Cousins coming into the season. I thought he was a great quarterback, but he has looked like a very system quarterback. I don't like to use system quarterback, but I like exactly like you said. They're trying to not let him have an impact on the game, and he's just looked bad, just straight up bad. So I would agree with all you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of straight up bad, we're gonna talk about a team that's been straight up bad in the Boston Celtics. Coming up after the break, we'll catch you guys in 30 seconds. Hey, Save Saturdays listeners, it's Ethan Petrick with a special announcement. Airing every Tuesday at 2 p.m., Takeout Tuesday is a show all about food. Join in as Will and I try different restaurants, finding out which restaurants are superstars and which are undraftable. We don't hold back as we tell you what's good and what isn't. Make sure to subscribe to Save Saturdays on YouTube so you don't miss a single episode. And as always, Save Saturdays. We're back with the second segment of the show, talking about the NBA playoffs. Going to be a tough segment for Will to get through because his Boston Celtics have looked absolutely awful against the Heat, just like my Bucks did last round. Will, let's hear it. What's going on?
I'm frustrated right now, Ethan. I'm so just frustrated. Is the perfect word to describe how I'm feeling through 4 games in this series.
I actually let you know this feels really good for me.
I know it
I'm
does,
very pleased.
but I know it can't feel too good because the Bucks aren't in the playoffs anymore. So
I feel like the Bucks looked better. So
if you were a
I'm
Heat
feeling
fan,
pretty
I
good
would be
about it.
way more butthurt.
I'm a Heat
about
fan
it.
now.
Oh my gosh, this series should be over right now. 4-0 Celtics sweep.
Oh, brother, give me a break.
I read a stat.
They've looked horrible.
Oh, that I totally disagree. I read a stat that 75% of like all the minutes the Celtics led. Through 3 quarters, we were the best basketball team on the court by far. And then we get to the 4th quarter, and suddenly we're throwing the ball away. We're giving up easy steals. Tyler Hero decides to just absolutely become Steph Curry, or Klay Thompson, I should say, out of nowhere. And suddenly our 15-point lead is erased to nothing. And it comes down, end of the game, we just can't finish the job. And it's frustrating because we are, on paper and on the court, we're a better basketball team than the Miami Heat.
I think you'd probably say that it's also...
It is unacceptable. And because we are such a better basketball team. Up and down, we have the better bench. I think we have despite Bam and Butler, I think we have the better younger stars. They're a little older than us, so maybe that veteran presence might be a difference. But again, we have Kemba Walker, so I mean, I'm not going to sit here and complain.
I mean,
I'm
gonna push back on you with this question: are the Atlanta Falcons a good football team?
I don't think they are. No.
They looked really good for 3 quarters of that game against the Cowboys, but they couldn't finish. The Boston Celtics can look really good through 3 quarters, but if you can't finish, you're not a good basketball team.
Well,
so I would say, yeah, they've been the better scoring team, but I wouldn't say they've been the best team. They certainly haven't been the best team because they lost.
I think
three of the 4 games.
You're trying to make a reach because I mentioned the Falcons before when we talked about this.
It's not a reach. It's the exact same argument.
Not the same argument because
it is.
We're talking about playoff basketball. We're talking about a Boston Celtics team that for the past 2 years has been legit contenders, has dominated the regular season. They have never looked like this with Jason Tatum on the court since he's been there. They haven't looked like this with Kemba Walker being on the court. We have not looked this horrible in the 4th quarter in 2 years. The Atlanta Falcons do this every week, all the time. They are not consistent contenders. I think they went 5-11 last year. They have proved they're not a good football team no matter when they play, how they play, where they play, what part of the season they play. It doesn't matter. The Falcons are a bad football team, and they've proved this. The Celtics are a good basketball team. It is the reason we came in as a top seed in this playoffs.
They didn't look that great last year when they lost to the Bucks in the second round. So
true.
I would say that the Celtics are just as unproven as anybody.
They haven't won a title yet, so I can't sit here and say they're the best basketball team in the league. But I think when you look at the regular season, we're a top team in the East. I think we were the second behind the Bucks is where I'd put them. The Heat coming into this playoff, I didn't think they'd be this good. I still think the Celtics are a better basketball team than the Heat. They just cannot finish at the end of the game, and that's a major problem. But then again, I attribute that to a lot of, you got Kemba Walker. This is his first time being in the playoffs.
It's not his first time being in the playoffs. He made the playoffs with Charlotte.
They did?
Yeah. They were the 8th seed, but he made the playoffs. He's experienced
I got to tell you what, go Kemba then. That's
he's
impressive.
Experienced playoff basketball.
He took Kemba Charlotte to a playoff. That's impressive.
We're talking about a man whose nickname is Cardiac. Go back to his time at UConn. He's known for his exceptional ability to turn it on in the fourth quarter. I think that the Heat are just an exceptional fourth quarter basketball team.
But here's the thing.
I've never seen
a lot of reaches.
I agree.
No, they look
it's
fantastic.
Not a reach. It's not a reach. I've never seen a team make more shots more consistently. Jay Crowder looks like Steph Curry in the fourth quarter.
That is false.
That man cannot miss in the fourth quarter. Jimmy Butler, I've never seen a man drive with more ability. He drives for a basket, for a layup against a guy 6 inches taller than him. I'm like, there's no way this goes in. And it's an and one every time. That team, the Miami Heat, look like the dream team in the fourth quarter.
Are you done?
I'm done.
Okay. I would like to finish what I was saying then before you blatantly interrupted me.
Because you were saying something stupid.
I was trying to explain we are the best basketball team in the series. If you watch the games, we have led through the 3 quarters in every single game by a big margin. And then the fourth quarter comes, we fall apart. We are the younger team. I don't want to make excuses. The Heat.
You're the younger team. You're younger than the team with 3 significant rookie contributors in Tyler Hero, Kendrick Nunn, and
Jimmy
Duncan
Butler
Robinson.
And Bam
I guess Duncan Robinson's not a rookie.
People. My point is that I'm trying to make the Miami Heat have looked great in these 3-4 games in the fourth quarter, but that's something we have not seen from Miami Heat all season long, nor have we ever seen this from them. I don't think this is something they're going to repeat. I think they're just having a great Cinderella story in the playoffs this year. I don't think they're going to repeat this in any seasons. So I still think Celtics are the best basketball team, especially since we've led for the majority of this series and it's just fallen apart. And the reason we've fallen apart, I don't think it's because the Heat are so good and they can turn it up in that, what's his name? Jay Crowder is Steph Curry, because he is clearly not. Jay Crowder is the farthest thing from Steph Curry as you can get.
I'm not saying he is Steph Curry. I'm just saying he looks like Steph Curry.
I don't think he looks like Steph Curry. I think the Heat are not that great in the fourth quarter. It's been the Celtics being so bad in the fourth quarter. If you've watched the game, the fourth quarter starts, and then suddenly it looks like the Celtics don't know how to pass a basketball without throwing it away or a turnover, and that accounts for a lot of the Heat's points. I think if you take away all the turnovers,
the Heat are making some tough
they're making
shots.
Great shots. And I agree. But it's not that the Heat have just created offense in the fourth quarter. It's that the Celtics have given them the ball away, and it's given them a lot of easy shots. They have made some tough shots, but I'm telling you right now, if you take away the turnovers in the fourth quarter that the Celtics have given them, I think the series is over already. Because go back and watch those games. A lot of the momentum that gets started in the fourth quarter that the Heat use to reduce that deficit is created because the Celtics are throwing the ball away. We're giving Jimmy Butler open looks in the fast break. I think that accounts for a lot of our struggles. It's simply turnovers.
I think you're seeing these as self-inflicted wounds, and I'm seeing them
totally
as the Miami Heat turning it on, putting on the pressure defensively in a way that the Boston Celtics can't handle it.
Here's my point. If they were so great defensively, which they've never proven to be a great defensive team at any point in the season or last year, the Miami Heat have never been defensively this good. If they could turn it on and stop the Celtics like they have in the fourth quarter, wouldn't they do that in the first 3 quarters and not go down 20 in the first place? Because every game, I don't know about this last game.
Hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Thank you for proving me right. The first 3 quarters, their defense looks terrible. The Celtics have had 15-point leads in the first 3 games and then lose it. So I don't think the Heat are a great defensive team. I think the Celtics are throwing the ball away in the fourth quarter. We don't know how to finish the game. And so the Heat are taking advantage of our turnovers. I don't think they're creating great offense. So I still think we're the better basketball team. And that's why when we probably lose the series, I'm still hopeful. I still think we can win it. But if we lose a series, I'm going to be sick because I know we should have won it. And we shot ourselves in the foot every step of the way.
I think that, unfortunately, we just subjected our listeners to a classic case of Boston bias. Just a Boston,
Go watch the game.
Boston fan.
Go watch the game.
Way out of his depth, thinking, overvaluing his team.
Go watch the game. I mean,
Boston. I'm not
who
arguing.
came in as the higher seed?
I'm not arguing
Who
that
came in
Boston.
with the better
I'm not
record?
arguing that Boston has a talented roster.
Who went farther in the playoffs last year?
I'm not arguing that Boston had a better record in the regular season, but I'm talking about in this series, the Miami Heat have been undoubtedly the better team.
We'll go watch the game, all 4 games.
You don't
and
get a
will disagree.
3-1
You'll
lead.
disagree
You
with
don't
me
get a
then.
3-1 lead in a series by being the worst team in the series.
They have still been the worst team in the series. Go watch the games. The Celtics.
I have watched the
led.
games, and I've watched them. I've watched.
Did you
I've
saw-
watched.
you
I've
saw how
watched
the-
Jay Crowder bring you to your knees
But did you
when he
watch the-
drills a 3
You're not watching the full
right
game.
in Marcus Smart's
You're
face.
not watching the. Marcus
I
Smart
am
doesn't
watching
play
the
for
game.
Celtics.
I watched that entire game on Saturday.
Oh, yeah, you're-
Boston
come
looked really good. Miami looked out of their depth. I would say in game 3 when Boston got their win, they definitely looked like the better team. First 2 games.
You want to know the difference?
First 2 games I watched, Miami definitely looked like the better team. And if you're the better team in 2 games out of 3, and then 3 games out of 4, I would say you're the best team in the series, considering you have been the better team in 75% of the games.
The difference between game 3 when the Celtics won and the games that the Heat won. If you watch the fourth quarter, the Celtics did not turn the ball over every other possession like they did the other 3 games. I agree with you. The Heat have looked great in the fourth quarter, and they are up 3-1. So I can't sit here and say they aren't the better basketball team. But I'm going to sit here and say they aren't the better basketball team. The Boston Celtics are the better basketball team. It's not because of the bias. Go watch the games. The turnovers have lost us the series. We've shot ourselves in the foot. There is such a thing as losing in sports from self-inflicted wounds.
I'm not disagreeing with you.
Just because you win a series doesn't mean you're the best team. I mean, are you sitting here saying that the Toronto Raptors were a better team than the Golden State Warriors, who were plagued with injuries?
If everybody had been healthy, the Warriors would have won the series, and they would have been the
didn't
better
win.
team.
But my point
because
is
they weren't the better team because they had injuries.
But what I'm saying is, did you think the Warriors were a better team than the Raptors?
Here's my thing: I could buy your argument if it only happened one time. If the Heat only won 1 game, and it was because Boston had self-inflicted wounds, I would agree with you. I'd be like, yeah, that could have been. We can chalk that up to self-inflicted wounds. But when it happens 3 times, that's a pattern. That's a pattern.
The turnovers happen every loss. If you go back to watch every game, we are throwing the ball away every possession.
I'm going to cut you off because we have 1 minute left in this segment.
Okay, well,
we have one. I want to talk about the Lakers and the Nuggets.
I have an important point because that went way too
gosh.
long because you just are not getting the concept of basketball here. But I've seen a lot of people come after Brad Stevens after these 4 games and saying they are done with Brad Stevens. I think that's ridiculous. If you're a Celtics fan, if you're a basketball fan and you're calling for Brad Stevens to be gone, I think you should no longer be allowed to be a basketball fan or a Celtics fan because he is the best coach in the East right now. And so do not lose faith in Brad Stevens. That's all I have to say.
I don't have faith in Brad Stevens, but I'm not calling for his job.
Fan, but I'm saying I've seen a lot of people after last night calling for his job, and I think that is absolutely ridiculous.
I mean, it's the same reason.
Best coach in the East.
It's the same reason Clippers fans might be calling for Doc Rivers' job. An inability to finish in the playoffs.
Historically, the Clippers do this. The Celtics have never done this before. My point about all this, the Celtics have never looked like this, ever, in terms of closing out games and turning the ball over. And so I am not worried about where this franchise is going. I'm very bullish on the Celtics. This is something that is just, we've never looked like this. Brad Stevens has never looked like this. So if we lose this series, don't freak out. We're a young basketball team. It's going to be okay. We aren't, it's not like this is what we do every week. If we did this throughout the regular season, I'd be worried. But we've never done this before. So I'm done. That's all I had to say. I had to defend Brad Stevens there, my guy.
Well, sorry to our listeners for the subjectation to the Boston bias. But
bias. Go watch the games.
We'll-
Go watch the games. Go
we'll-
watch the games, and you'll know who's right. You'll know I was right.
We'll avoid that for the next segment, where we'll catch you guys. We'll talk about college football, winners, losers from week 3, preview of the SEC, and some interesting comments from Ohio State head coach about our Nebraska Cornhuskers next.